Hola, amazing humans. I'm Brandi Amara Skyy, and this is your monthly medicine reading for November. And I kind of want to preface this reading and do something that I normally don't do, and just kind of talk a little bit about setting up a theme or a energy or a intention in which to kind of cradle and hold your month in. We are getting ready to move into, for some folks, what is a really busy season, what is chaotic, also maybe a little bit traumatic and triggering for folks, and also has been a little bit also triggering for me. And so I really want to honor that as much beauty and amazingness and joy and happiness that folks can feel beginning and starting around this time. There's also folks who aren't feeling as lit up or as excited or as ready for the joy to spark. I know I'm still kind of holding on to October. I didn't really get to experience October in the way that I love. It's my favorite month, and I didn't get a chance to do that. And so I I really felt called to kind of preface this reading by saying wherever you're at, um, energetically, emotionally, feeling wise, wherever you're at is exactly where you need to be. And if you're not feeling it, then you're not feeling it. And that is okay. But what I really want to invite you to do is to stay conscious of whether you're feeling it or not, and not let whatever it is you're feeling completely like wash and carry you into places and spaces where it's not healthy for you. And so, what I really want to invite us to do, especially with this month's card, is to stay aware of our state, our emotional state, our energetic state, honor it, honor our feelings, but also not allow them to overpower and override our agency and our choice, right? Because regardless of what is happening in our life, we have agency and choice as to how we are going to move through it. And so I really want to invite you as we move into the holidays, as we move into the season of familia and family and consumerism and capitalism. I really want you to just stay present with yourself and where you're at, and know that where you're at is beautiful and okay. And also to remember that you are a sacred sovereign being throughout all of this. And there are going to be times when you feel less sovereign and you feel like you just want to go fuck it. And that's okay. Feel those feelings. But then what I want to invite you to learn how to do is to, I don't want to say flip it on and flip it off, because it's more nuanced than that. But to see yourself, to check yourself, and then check in with yourself and say, okay, I felt this, I'm still feeling this, but what is a tiny step that I can make that could move me out of this? What is a better feeling that I could feel? What is a better thought I can think? What is a better action that I can take? Maybe it's, taking a moment to take a sip of water and really, really allowing that water to just kind of wash and cleanse your system. Maybe it's using your woke magic grimoire and journaling a little bit about what is happening. Maybe it's just taking a reading break or just taking a pause and going outside and breathing in the fresh air and the energy that this season, we're still in fall, holds. And so I just want to invite us, before I go into the reading, to really be intentional and in awareness of our agency as we move into the season. And so the way that I did that for myself is that I created a theme or an energy frequency that I really wanted to tap into this month. And so for me, that is resiliency. There's something about that frequency and energy of that word and what it means that I really need in my life right now. So I want to invite you, before we move into the card reading, to pause this and take a moment to settle into yourself and feel into what is it that you need? What is it that you need right now? What frequency, what vibe, what is it that you want to call in to help support you through this month? For me, the first thing that came through when I, sat down and I centered myself and I closed my eyes was resiliency. And so I went with that first gut reaction. Like I wouldn't have chosen that word for myself, like consciously, but that is the word that chose me. That's a frequency that I channeled and that I actually now know that I need. So I really wanted to just give you that praxis before moving in, because our card of the month is the Knight of Cups. And so the first thing when I saw this card was the first thing that downloaded was, what are we stewarding in, right? What are we going after? What is the quest that we're on, right? The knights are, when I think of the knights of the tarot deck, I think of the Knights of Templar, I think of Excalibur, I think of the Holy Grail, I think of all of these situations and movies and these cultural references that refer back to the knight. But then I also think of like Atreyu in The Neverending Story, who wasn't physically a knight, but was still on a personal quest to save Fantasia. And what this kind of feels like and is what we talked about at the beginning about what is the frequency that you need, and then how do we move towards that? How do we go after that? But because it's the cups, we're not doing it in a really aggressive manner, right? This isn't the Knight of Swords. This isn't like the quintessential knight, like going after, riding fast, like, roar. Like it's not that. It's how can we go after what we are trying to build, the frequency that we're trying to attain from a creative, intuitive, and emotional point place, from that center. And so it feels like November is that stewarding in. Like, what is it that we are going to steward in? If the word, using myself as example, is resilience, how am I going to use my creativity, my intuition, my spare time, my heart, my emotions? How am I going to use those day-to-day things to help steward that feeling in, right? Like, what are the esoteric things that I can do? I could like make consistent practice of being with, my intuition by drawing cards, by reading omens, all these things. Like I can tap into consistency, which is like a sister, a brother, a familiar to resiliency. So I can do that from an esoteric and spiritual standpoint. But then also, how can I physically do this? Like the knight is very present, like earthed in the world. And how can we move that forward? How can we really ground what it is we're trying to do. So bringing or calling in, not do. I really want to focus on calling in and being receptive, because we're cups here. It's not like a going after or swords. And so what we could probably like call in, if I'm using resiliency as an example, is if I'm doing it from an emotional, I could look at how am I being, or calling in resilience in my creativity, right? So by which I mean, if something really goes wrong in my like day to day life, which it has, um, how can I allow my creativity to be a source of comfort and support in helping me heal? And not heal like in a whole, heal it's completely gone, but heal enough to continue moving into all the big solar plans, right? All the things I wanted to do and accomplish before the end of the year, before the end of the month. For Black Friday, for the first time ever, I decided that I wanted to play with the idea of doing some kind of Black Friday coupon and discount on some of my products. So, like the Woke Magic Grimoire, because I feel like we all need a break. Like, it just feels like we could all use a break, and that we all need tools, magical tools and creative tools, tools that allow us to be with ourselves. We all need that, right? I feel like as a collective, we all need those things right now. And so I'm trying to and approach it from that center, right? From that center of emotion and feelings and intuitiveness and feeling and tapping into the collective consciousness, versus from a very capitalistic, like, sell all the things mindset, because that's just not my vibe, which is why I've always steered clear of Black Friday. But by allowing myself to tap into my needs and the collective's needs, by just sitting silently and listening and staying and hoping to continue to stay resilient in my spiritual practices, I was able to sense what it is that we needed and I needed. And so this is what the Knight of Cups is asking us to do this month. It's not asking us to go full force and drive into all of the things in business or our lives or our creativity that's just like full stop, end of the year, gotta go, go, go. It is asking us to get a little bit more quiet, get a lot more internal, silence out the external, and really allow yourself to go slow. I mean, the horse, the gait is looks like it would be a slow and steady pace versus a fast forward movement, and even versus stopping, right? It's not the Knight of Pentacles who's in full stop mode. This is a slow burning movement, and allowing ourselves to just get quiet, internal, and allow that slow burn to happen naturally. And knowing that there are going to be spurts in that slow burn, but then there's also going to be the slow, right? Where nothing just wants to happen, and that is okay too. But by giving ourselves a frequency in which to kind of like cradle our month in, really gives us like an anchor to know where we would like to be, to feel, to infuse in ourselves, and taken together like your frequency for that you want to approach November in, and then the Knight of Cups, really feeling into how can I steward this in, not in the traditional sense, but in in receptive mode? How can I be a clear channel of receptivity to help steward in this thing that I want, whether it's a product, whether it's a, Black Friday, whether it's an art project, whether it's just a better mood, right? Whatever it is we're trying to call in and bring in before the end of the year, there are multiple multi-layered ways to approach it. But the card for this month is saying, let's approach it from a place of receptivity, not passivity. There's a difference. Receptivity requires that slow burn, that slow moving action. Being passive is just sitting there going, asking it is, fully given, and not me not having to, take any kind of agency or ownership for it. But really, that's not what we're going for. We're going for the dynamic balance between how can I be in full receptive mode and how can I align and tap into the receptive mode so that it kind of lightly, just slowly, ever so slowly, like just pushes me forward. But in order for it to help push me forward, I have to be present. I have to be present and fully in my body to see and feel and pick up all the things that are happening as we are being slowly, carried and ushered to where we want to go, in order to be and feel the flow of the water of creativity, of our intuition, of our psychic abilities. We have to be a channel. We have to have a place in which that can flow through. And so really honoring and paying attention and giving our channel some deep care this month. Because without this vehicle in which to be in a receptive state, then it's not going to happen. So I hope that download and message of this for this month of November, or whenever you are listening to this, I really believe that messages find you when you need them the most. It doesn't have to be the date in which it was originally recorded. I really believe that these are channeled messages that will find folks when they need them the most. And I want you to have the best November and season that you can have, not the one that all the commercials are going to try to have you buy into, not the one that your partner or your sister or your biz bestie or your the person that you admire creatively and for everything that they do, not their kind of season that they're going to have, but the season that is meant for you. And that begins with really taking stock and holding in and feeling into what is the frequency that I need the most, and then how can I steward that in from this place of receptivity and intuition, magic, and creativity. So I love you so, so much. And I will see you in December for my birthday month. And I will pop up my Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday deals in the comments below. But if you are not on my newsletter, I call it my newsletter, I really want to invite you into that. I am feeling like I might need to center my energies and find like one place in which to really be fully present. And that is feeling like my newsletter, and it's feeling like YouTube. So this YouTube, I love YouTube. I love being able to record videos and talk to you and get a layer deeper than I do in any other social media platforms. But I go even like many layers deeper in my newsletter about what's happening in my life, how I use magic, how you can use magic, how to use journaling and writing, and moving forward, how to write your soul book and really get into the nuances of what it means to be a author of not just like physical books, but of your life as well. So I hope to see you inside that, what I call newsletter. You can go to brandiamarsky.com/newsletter to sign up, but I'll also link it below. But I'm wishing you the most medicinal November. And let me know, pop any questions that you have, beloved. And don't forget, beloved, that's a beautiful slip. Pop any questions that you have below. And thank you, beloveds. And I will see you next month.